Welcome to the Off Tackle with John Fina show on the Overreaction Sports Network. Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome everybody into the Off Tackle with John Fina show on the Overreaction Sports Network, powered by Believe. It is Victory Monday here on the Off Tackle with John Fina show. My name is Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. That guy right there, John Fina, former Buffalo Bill for 10 years, played left tackle, former first-round draft pick, John Fina. Please do us a favor, do us a solid. Please subscribe, whatever platform you are consuming this vidcast on right now. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And if you're listening in post as a podcast, sometime that is not live, please do us a favor there. Help us get our numbers up. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. And also leave us a review if you could. That'd be swell. Share us with a friend, all that good stuff. The Buffalo Bills are on to round two, John Fina. They host the Baltimore Ravens in Buffalo in Orchard Park this Sunday, 6:30 in the dark. It's going to be 24 degrees as a high. I don't know how cold it's going to get through the evening. It won't be as cold as it was when it was it 7? No, well, I can't remember. A couple weeks ago, it was real cold too. I think it was like 14 or 12. It was also an evening game, which was not great. But how are you feeling, my friend? How you doing?
Loving every minute of it. Oh, it's great.
Loving every minute of it. Yeah.
I don't love that song, but man, what a hell of a game. I got a chance to look at some film again, Joe. You know, in my first blush of watching the game, didn't think there were too many creative, exciting things going on. And then going back and looking at it, we got some really cool stuff to look at on the film. But by and large, I was impressed. With the result. You never take anybody lightly. As a player, you always expect your opponent is going to be up for the game. And the Bills just deflated them, just took them apart piece by piece. And it didn't look devastating. It wasn't a dagger to the heart early. It was just a long, methodical, slow bleed that in the second half turned into, true bloodletting.
I like it, and I'm excited to see what you have for us. I watched the game back today as well, and there was some interesting stuff in that game. It's funny to me, and it's happened a couple times. It's funny to me where I go on the post-game show after attending the game, and I say certain things, and then they end up like in the broadcast, and it very much turns into I wasn't even watching the broadcast, but I said the same thing they did, which is there was a couple moments that kind of struck me funny, and for whatever reason I had it, and now they're escaping me now that I've brought it up. But it was a good football game, even in a rewatch. It's way less nerve-wracking, like when you watch it back and they won. I don't know why that is, John. Why is it that it's so much easier to watch it a second time?
Well, the result, so win or lose, all the anxiety is gone. But I swear, the end of these games, as a huge Bills fan, a homer, and I at the end of the game, I'm physically exhausted, I'm mentally drained, I'm emotionally empty. You go through everything, even in a blowout victory, you're not feeling level set or relieved until the final whistle.
Right? Did they do anything?
That's the beauty of football, though. I mean, you don't get that feeling until the seventh game of the World Series or, maybe the last game of the Stanley Cup. I don't certainly get it from basketball. So, it is truly a magnificent game made up of, 11 guys on the field at the time, everybody doing their part, inches matter, leverage, you just giving everything you have on every play, every muscle in your body is flexing. And at the very end of that thing, like I've say all the time, I get in the locker room after a game, I can't even lift my arms anymore. I'm so tired.
Right. We talked going into this game over the last couple of weeks, specifically after the Lions game, about based off of a lot of things that we've seen, what this offense has done, what they did against the Lions game when they kind of opened up the playbook, and then Josh Allen talking about saving stuff for the playoffs. I didn't feel like we saw anything overly different in this game. Did you see anything that kind of stuck out to you just off the top of your head that you was like, oh, we haven't seen that before? It seemed like everything was kind of routine Buffalo Bills offense.
There were a few wrinkles to formations, which I'll highlight in play review. But beyond that, I think we saw Reggie Gilliam, we saw Alec Anderson, and we've been seeing a steady diet of those guys. defensively, we're not necessarily bringing a lot of pressure packages, but we are mixing up the fronts quite a bit with 2 3s and a linebacker walked up who bails. So we're changing the looks more than we're bringing actual pressure. And whether that's the philosophy of Babich because of personnel issues, or we're just trying to see where guys fit and perform best in certain down and distance situations, it's hard to know. But
Right.
by and large, fairly straightforward. I thought it was outside of the failed punt return is what I'll call it. Good.
Awesome. Well, with that, let's not waste any more time. Why don't we jump into the 5 plays that you're going to review for us and teach us something there, Captain, my captain.
Okay. Well, I chose the second quarter to bring to everyone because I really felt as if these plays, these 2 drives, one of 13 plays, the other of 15, and the last one of 14 plays are just backbreaking. And to me, it was a perfect blend of run and pass, and we're reviewing offense today, that just kept the Broncos from having any indication of what we were going to do between play action, drop back, half roll, to inside run to outside run. So I chose a few plays, and this first one, everybody will probably recognize. This is a quick toss. Alec Anderson in the wing position. I'll let it run. James Cook makes a nice cut. And I brought
Ty
this.
Johnson. That's Ty Johnson.
I'm sorry. Ty Johnson, apologies to you. James Cook, you're also very, very good. But in watching this is exactly how you want to teach this. I don't care if it's at the college level or at the pro level. So this is wide zone strong. And what I wanted to accentuate earlier is we saw Josh Allen under center a lot. And the difference between him and the gun and handing off and him under center and handing off is the running backs get a really good opportunity to get a full head of steam and hit the gap that they choose to hit. And at the point of hitting the line of scrimmage, barring a missed block, you are going to have a no gain to a positive yardage play. Right. So as you're looking at it right here, we already more or less have them outflanked, but just absolutely beautiful blocking by Connor McGovern, Spencer Brown, and then this combination block with Dalton Kincaid, and then Alec Anderson sticking to his guy. So I'm going to play it. I'm going to pause it a little bit here. So what you have, Spencer Brown is leveled up on his guy, and Kincaid is chipping him. Connor McGovern just took off, and he hooked his guy immediately. Alec Anderson is out in space, and he's got his guy covered up. So when you're running the football, you want the running back to be able to look down the field in a zone play and only see his lineman's numbers. No one's body is facing the sideline either way. And when you have that, you can more or less just pick and choose where you go. So Ty Johnson, I got to get back here just a little bit. You see how this space opens up, right? Dawson Knox chips with Spencer Brown. Spencer's got him turned. Dawson Knox floats out into space to pick up his support guy. And this gap that is created, look at that. Yeah, that's just that. This is perfect. This is you cannot block this. You cannot draw this any better than this execution.
Cyrus is out there looking for work too on the linebacker.
Yep. All right, now that I've given it a little bit of a description, let's let it run. We'll start it from the beginning. We'll let it run again. For your enjoyment, everybody gets on their combination block. Everybody sticks. Torrance makes his guy choose, which creates a gap, and we're into the second level. It's really just a fantastic play. And I put that up there because, the competition was set. This is a great defense. This is a running team. They have so many sacks. We've given up so few. So the billboard was posted, epic collision of a great defense and a great offense, and establishing the line of scrimmage is really what it was all about in this game. And they did a terrific job doing that up front.
Question before you go on to your next play. So before Brian Dable left, I should say, and before Aaron Cromer got here, the Bills were still kind of running in that heavy tight end set. It was Lee Smith before they started bringing in bigger or athletic offensive tackles to kind of play in that Alec Anderson role that we see right now. Lee Smith was doing it, and then Lee Smith moved on to the Falcons, and then I can't remember who it was. I think it was David Edwards for a while. There was a couple guys that were doing it.
Yeah.
So this isn't necessarily, coordinator specific. This isn't personnel specific. This is something the Bills have been doing for 4 years, 5 years. And the question is why do the Bills do it so much? It feels like running the ball should be easier with the extra heavy tight end. And why aren't other teams doing it more often? And maybe there's too many questions in there, but it just seems like this is something we do kind of exclusively. We've been doing it a long time, regardless of coordinator and O-line coach.
Yeah, Detroit also brings in an extra lineman too.
Yeah.
What's really great about this formation, by the way, is Alec Anderson is in the wing. He's outside the tight end. Often when you see this heavy formation, you'll have Alec Anderson next to Spencer Brown,
right, inside,
and then the tight end in the wing position. Well, generally what you get here by adding this wrinkle, and by the way, Spencer Brown is better. We're better at right guard. McGovern is equal to the previous center, and Knox is blocking better than he has. So he's improved as well. But by doing this, you're creating a point of failure, no offense to tight ends everywhere, more or less in the middle. And you're putting a big guy who's used to blocking a defensive end out in space where he has a better opportunity to just front the guy up. I'm not talking about driving him downfield. And as this expands, and this is what we were talking about on the show last night, Jerry and I and you, about lateral expansion of the defense as opposed to vertical expansion. So we're trying to spread everybody out. We get the running back downhill and he picks a gap.
Got it.
And to kind of answer your question that I think you were alluding to is why are we better at it now? I think there is a greater commitment to a running philosophy without adding plays every week. We are running more or less the same sets of plays, maybe with some different personnel and a few different formations, but we're running zone, we're running some gap scheme.
Got it. Perfect. Roll on, my friend.
Okay, my man. This next play is vertical displacement. So before we had zone, now we're running angle block. I'm calling this weak power with Reggie Gilliam, and this is a vertical play. We're trying to expand the gaps rather than laterally, vertically, and create a single seam usually on a play like this. The running back typically doesn't have a chance to either break it outside or break it inside. We're dedicating this run to a certain spot. You get a double team from Dawson or from Deion Dawkins and Edwards. Mac Hollins is going to block the edge guy. And you're going to get a kick out from Reggie Gilliam on the defensive end, and we're going to lead with Reggie Gilliam. We're going to lead with Reggie Gilliam. We're going to get a wrap from Torrance. So
pause
run it
before you run it. So this is so clearly the Bills ran I formation. I remember this play when they ran it. I was like I formation, which I think they've done one other time this season, but I don't have the end zone view. I'm sideline view in the stadium. This alignment is very different in the sense of Osiris Torrance and Brown are very tight to McGovern, and David Edwards has now taken a Deion Dawkins gap between him and McGovern. This is very unique.
Right. So on the play side, which is Dawkins' side, we're trying to create space. On the back side, Torrance is eliminating a little space. He wants to get around McGovern's block quicker. And Spencer Brown, really his job here with a 4-eye technique on him is he needs to stab that guy into the nose tackle that's on McGovern.
Got it.
And so there you go. Spencer Brown on the backside. All he really has to do is get a tie. McGovern just can't lose the guy over the top. So he's battling him with his left arm. Edwards and Deion are going to the backside linebacker. Gilliam is headed straight for the defensive end, and Torrance is going to wrap on the linebacker. Bang. And now this is the play that everybody loves. Here we go. I took a sideline shot of this. I should have loaded it up. All 5 offensive linemen a second ago were all
In the
right here.
pile.
You can count them.
In the
All
pile.
5 of them driving them along. It was incredible to watch.
Baldinger loved it too.
So you get vertical push, you get a vertical seam, and again, we're doing really well up front. We're just making guys guess. We're making defenders choose sides. A serviceable block by Gilliam, not fantastic, but he makes the defender come upfield, which creates a seam. Torrance kicks out the end, and the end does not wrong arm it, which means throw his right shoulder into Torrance's right shoulder in order to compress that gap. So there's a natural seam. And you know what? Dion and the rest of the guys do the rest, carry him forward.
There was a lot in this football game as it pertains to just the Broncos coming in with having what was considered or is considered one of the best defensive lines in football. And it just felt like the Bills' offensive line worked them through most of the game.
They really did. And what really helped was the variety of plays that we ran from the variety of formations.
Got it.
All right, next one, lead in. This is 2nd down and 3 in the second quarter. You have got to watch Mac Hollins on Bonito, arguably their best player, and I think going to the Pro Bowl or All-Pro. This one it's hilarious. We were talking earlier. Did you get that play where Shakir spun around? And
Spinorama.
This one is even better.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you right now, this is epic. I'll play it for you. This is so good. I'll play it one more time. I don't think you saw it. Focus on Mac Hollins, who's on the right side of your screen. He's going to block down on Bonito, and Bonito just gets so transfixed with beating Hollins that he runs himself fully out of the play. So this is really cool. Typically, what you get on this play where the tackle is pulling is actually you get the guard pulling. So Dion would traditionally block down on the 3 technique. Now, this could have been a call or an adjustment at the line between Edwards and Dion because it wasn't a 3 technique. It was a 1 technique. See, 97 is on the inside of Edwards. So Edwards pins him and runs basically a combination block with McGovern. And then you get big Dion floating way out in space, wrapping for the backer. But again, lateral expansion of the defense naturally creates gaps. Play it again. Keep your eyes on Mac Hollins. I'm going to try to freeze it. So he feels Mac pressure there, and he sees Dion. So in his mind, this play is going to go outside. So Bonito is going to drive Mac Hollins to the sideline to compress the gap. But what happens is it's a Josh Allen keeper, and he tucks. Look at that gap.
He just cuts inside.
It's insane. Oops.
And Dion went out and got the corner. Or was that the safety 29?
I don't know, but whoever sees Dion coming is in fear.
Well, he hurt a linebacker. He hurt one of their linebackers yesterday.
There he is. He's on 29. We have a combination block at McGovern and Edwards for the backside linebacker. Torrance even has a chance at him. And now you get 3 guys on 2 right here in the middle of the field, and then the free guy can make it up to the next level. It's just brilliantly executed. Called quarterback run. I didn't like that hit Josh took. It was a little concerning, but he's tough as nails.
I think one of the most mysterious things to me when it comes to, and you can just let it keep running. One of the most mysterious things to me as it pertains to offense in particular is who designs the plays. How does that communication get to the offensive lineman and Aaron Cromer? Like, where is the mesh point where the coaches are in the room together saying, this is the play I want to run, this is how I want to execute it, or is it a how should we execute it? Like, where does the play design start and finish and end, right? Is it a closed door meeting and then everybody goes out and teaches their people? It seems wildly, I don't know, left to chance that everybody's going to come back to the room with the players and all on the same page.
Okay, those are really fantastic questions. So number one, it is a copycat league. Jerry says it all the time.
Right.
You beg, borrow, and steal ideas from every level now, which is what makes pro football now so damn cool, is because they're borrowing some of the exciting stuff they're doing in college, right? Because dual threat in the NFL now is a big thing. So your quarterback is now a weapon. So you can design these plays for the QB. You can also fake, the QB gives the ball. The second part of your question is a really good question. So what they'll do, we're gonna install this play this week, and we're gonna first thing we're going to do as a staff, we're going to look at it against the tendencies of the Broncos.
Mhm.
Is this even a viable play for what we're going to see? So they're going to chalk it up against probably their top 3 defensive fronts and say, yeah, we can personnel, we can block this. By alignment, we can block this. And then they take the play and they say, we expect to see this look, and this is how we're going to block it. Now, if they move the 3 into a 1 and they run the linebacker out, this is a call at the line based on the front. Dion, you're going to pull. Edwards, you're going to block, combination with McGovern. So all this stuff is called in the huddle, but how you block the scheme is determined by the alignment of the defense. And that's the fun part of football is you get up to the line and they're moving around. And when they move before the snap, and then, everybody's just got to know. Everybody has to study.
Yeah. It seemed like there was a lot more conversation and shouting amongst the offensive line yesterday, too. I don't remember seeing Spencer Brown quite that loud and have as much motion, as not moving around motion, but just like jumping up and pointing at guys and yelling like you could hear him specifically. It was just interesting to see yesterday. So, yeah.
Joe, there were like 10 plays I could have shown. Deion Dawkins was doing the strangest stuff. He had splits that were 6 feet wide, and he got up to the line and he looked right at the defensive end, Bonito, half the time, and was waving his arms at him just like this. Wait, look at me. The stuff they were doing was absolutely hysterical. I almost broke down 3 or 4 times reviewing this film, and I'm like, I can't choose this play. There's really no play to choose, but I'm just looking at Deion and what he's doing and what Spencer's doing over there. And I'm like, these guys are having the time of their lives.
That's funny. That's awesome.
It was phenomenal.
That's amazing. 2 more for us, right?
2 more. Yeah. We'll try to make it quick. That's outside of my abilities. All right. This one, awesome. We're at the what? We're at the inch yard line coming out, right? We run a 14-play drive and punt, but 14 plays coming off your own 1-inch yard line. Joe, what do you typically?
6 minutes ran off the clock in that drive.
Yeah. What do you typically do as an offense when you're in this situation?
What do we do, or what do the Bills do? Because the Bills typically go.
What do football teams do? They go sneak. They want to make some room.
Right. I feel like only the Bills do the sneak. Only the Bills kind of do that tush push thing there. I feel like a lot of teams do this. They drop back and they hand the ball off.
Yeah, it's risky. And when you see this alignment and you start to think, I need to run behind the big guys, right? Watch what they do on the edge out here. This is insane. You got Mac Hollins stacked in the back. I think that's him. But they play this with such patience. I'll let it run. It's incredible to me. It just feels like there's so much risk in how patiently they waited for the defense to develop before they reacted. So keep your eyes on the right side of the screen, and you see the 3 defenders, and then Mac Hollins. Usually in these situations, an edge player will just go run into the mouth of the defense, but Mac almost sits there. Keep your eyes on him. Right. He waits for everything to sort out. He steps up, he engages number 6, and we're off to the races from our own 0.25 yard line. And this is an extremely important play in the drive, because I'm telling you, as an offensive lineman and anybody who's lined up at the edge, they are tight. You got your hand on the goal line in your stance. Look at Edwards' hand. It's on the goal line.
Yeah. Are they in a 6-2 formation there? It looks like they've got 6 down linemen and 2 linebackers.
So this is like a modified bear front. And for our listeners out there, bear front is traditionally a nose guard and 2-3 techniques. The one on Dion is a little wide. You could call it a 4-eye. It's basically a wide 3. The traditional Bears defense with Mike Singletary, he would be lined up 40, would be right up over the top of McGovern as well. But this is what we refer to as a bear front. So they're trying to create man-on-man situations, single point of failure, and obviously a tackle for a loss, which would be a safety here. But the edge guys, and this is where this team, and as I looked at this game, what did they do game plan-wise philosophy-wise, to keep it simple but get better, is we put a lot of stress and a lot of trust on our tight ends, Mac Hollins, and anybody else on the edge who was blocking. I'm going to freeze it right. See that jumbled up mess right there?
Mm-hmm.
Right,
There's
right
1, 2,
behind
3, 4 Bills helmets in it.
That's right. And Mac Hollins still really hasn't even moved. He's just waiting for it to flesh out. He's waiting for his gap. It collapses, and he goes right up on the defensive back and creates this beautiful seam right here.
It's a
Cool
scrum.
stuff, man.
It's a scrum.
Yeah. Don't let Mimi hear you say that. She's a rugby player. It's not a scrum. She's got another term for it. I hope you enjoyed that play, Joe.
I did.
And for my final play, also in the second quarter, 2nd and 8. This is that play I was talking about last night where we have the running back in the I formation and Josh is under center. I'm calling it quick toss. And it's not a toss in the traditional sense where you're trying to hit the edge.
Mm-hmm.
What you're doing is it's a short, quick toss where the running back doesn't have his shoulders to the sideline. They're more downhill. So he's able to get that head of steam, hit the line of scrimmage with even the smallest gap and make something happen. And if he breaks it outside, what you're hoping for is somebody comes up with the wrong leverage and you're able to break it out.
Gotcha.
I'll put this play up and run it. I'll run it back for you. All right. What's also very cool about this is tight end on the line, Alec Anderson at the wing position. Quick toss.
That seems like a new thing this year, by the way.
It does.
They weren't doing that last year.
So where James Cook catches the ball, he's between the left guard, left tackle location. We got a combination block between Edwards and McGovern. Already the linebacker number 40 is outflanked. We've got Dion locked up on 94. The tight end is stalking the linebacker, and Alec Anderson's on the defensive end. This is up to number 6 to make the play.
And he gets caught in the wash.
And he gets caught in the wash. Great way to say that. All we're trying to do is get our guy at 3 to 4 yards, and then he brings his own blocker or brings his own dance moves. And our guy is doing a hell of a job. Run it one more time. This is just a beautifully executed play. You got a hat on a hat everywhere. And James Cook, with his jump cut and his great vision, is just able to find a little seam. And that little seam creates leverage against your tackler, and you're able to turn something that should be a 3 to 5 yard gain into a 7 or 8 yard gain.
Yeah, that was an important first down as well, if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah, and I want to bring up they're all very important first downs. I know you know that. I want to bring up
that was the third down play that kept the drive alive, that kept them off the field. But yeah,
2nd and 8. Okay,
was it 2nd and 8?
John, on that last play, did Mac Hollins have a potential hold? As an offensive player, no. Generally speaking, yes. There are a few holds here and there that were missed on both offenses as I reviewed the film. The rub on that, Joe, is if you add more officials, you slow the game down. Nobody wants to see flags. You just don't want to see egregious stuff like what happened to Kincaid at the end line. That was horrible.
Or Coleman and Nance and Romo were trying to say, well, he didn't even try to pick his arms up. Had he picked his arms up, it would have definitely gotten the foul. It's like the defender was bear hugging him. Like, what are we talking about right now?
Well, I'll say that one wasn't as bad as the one in the back of the end zone. I think that one could have gone either way. Keon has to get better at selling that.
Yeah.
But Joe, I said we had 3 drives in the first half, right? A total of 42 plays.
Right.
On 3 drives. That's backbreaking. That is dominance.
One was a punt, right?
And one was a punt. In the second half, we had 2 drives over 10 yards or 10 plays. We had 1 at 9, a 4-play TD, which will forgive them for not holding the ball longer, and then 5 plays kneeling it out for a victory. It was absolute just dominance.
It's exactly.
Go ahead.
I would say it's exactly what you want to see. What do you love?
I just love seeing Josh under center and giving James Cook a better view, a head of steam, and with the variety of plays and formations that we're running with. I mean, come on. We have Alec Anderson in motion and lining up at the wing.
Right.
So if you're a defense, you're like, all right, we see that it's run. I want to see Alec Anderson out running a pick route with Dawson Knox and catching a ball at 8 yards and then rambling for like another 3.5.
People were
I mean,
calling.
it
People were
sets
calling
up
for him.
beautifully.
People were calling for him to get the 16th touchdown in the last game of the season. It didn't happen, but people were saying that he was a potential optimal target because he has declared himself eligible so many times this season. When you look at this defense, and I'm not even sure what the Ravens run. Do the Ravens run a base 3-4 or a base 4-3? Do you know?
They're 4-2-4-3.
4-2-4-4-2. They're a base 3-4 defense. Yep. Interesting. So they've got a traditional nose tackle in Travis Jones, and then 2 ends in
That's right.
Broderick Washington. Yep. And then they got the 4 linebackers on the field. So this, would you say this may have been a decent warm-up game for the Buffalo Bills as far as kind of facing? I mean, I think the Denver defense has been better this season than the Broncos defense, stat-wise, and some of that can be brought into
better than the Ravens stat wise, but
yes, who they played. It's more about who the
exactly
Broncos played.
Their opponents weren't as illustrious, I suppose, as the Ravens were.
Right.
I think what my feeling is with the health of this team now and the variety of what we've shown over the past really 6 or 7 weeks with 2-back Reggie Gilliam, with motioning a tackle into a wing position, which I really think they've figured that putting Alec Anderson on the end rather than having a tight end try to block a more physical end, and the exchange is you put the tight end on a linebacker who's more in the same weight range, strength range, athleticism, maybe a little bit less physical. You can get a different sort of tie at both positions. And make no mistake about it, Joe, when you're blocking, you want to get ties up front. It's nice to get a pancake. It's nice to get a guy driven downfield. But what we're trying to do is make sure we have a tie at the very least with the guy you're blocking. You cover him up and you don't lose him. And guys like Cook and Davis and Johnson will get to that shoulder and turn a 3-yard gain into a 5-yard gain.
So for the offensive line, a tie is a win.
That's right.
Very good.
I can't tell you how many times I'm just literally standing up in front of a guy like 2 chess pieces on the chessboard, and the rook, Thurman Thomas, just comes blowing by. And the guy that I'm blocking is all of a sudden like, oh my God, here he comes. And then they have to disengage with one arm.
Right.
And when they disengage with one arm, that's when you're able to put a lot of pressure on him, and you drive him, and he's making the tackle or missing the tackle, and 3-4 turns into 5-7, 8-9, 10-12.
It's a beautiful thing. Great job, John Fina. Any final thoughts before I close us out and get us out of here?
Yeah, I don't break down a lot of defense. I'll try and bring a couple more plays to my beautiful fan base here from the Off Tackle Show. Thank you all for joining. Please share this. What I'll say about our defense is I never like to say everybody has to play perfect. But if there's a week where the defense has to have just perfect gap integrity, choose their moments to bring pressure, smart run, stopping pressure, and smart pressure on Lamar. This is it. Yeah. I mean, the dual threat they have between Henry and Jackson is scary, and we have to be perfect up front.
Good job, sir. Appreciate all the hard work that you put into that, and appreciate you sharing your knowledge with us. What do we got coming up? So tomorrow, Tuesday, live at 8:00, Elena Getzenberg, Buffalo Bills beat reporter from ESPN, will be joining us on the show. Wednesday, the Hump Day Hotline, and then Thursday, the first Overreaction true preview for the Buffalo Bills at hosting the Baltimore Ravens for round 2 of the playoffs on the Big O Show with Jerry Ostrowski, a show that you do not want to miss. I said today, and I hope people didn't take it the wrong way, I said, whatever you got to do to get your preview, your first look, or whatever your details are. And I know you were watching. You want to go to a former football player, right? That's where you want to get if you want insights about a game. You want, and I was like, and then I had to back up, and I was like, that doesn't mean that I don't like all the other content creators. Don't like.
I heard you.
Don't
stop with the caveats. You could flagship Jerry's show because he does a great job, because he doesn't just rattle off stats. He only brings up the stats that make a difference to the team that they're playing, which is our team, the Bills, right? He's stacking up the right stats to the right stats. His show is terrific. Yours was great today. We're having a lot of fun. The Bills make it easy on us. You missed tomorrow, Elena Gatzenberg tomorrow night, and then later in the evening, I'll be on with Robbie Snyder. I believe on the 716 Sports Blizzard.
Nice. Yeah, we got a lot of motion going on. Jerry's going to be on a couple shows, including with Mike Shope on WGR 55 on Thursday. So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff going on. And then Jerry and I were on with Robbie last night. So awesome. Well, appreciate you being with us. Appreciate everybody in the comments section. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and thanks to all of our listeners that tune into our show regularly. Again, if you love this show, if you love the content that Jerry, John, and myself provide, please do us a favor. Please share it with a friend. But we're going to go ahead and get you guys out of here. So appreciate y'all being here. For me, for John, for Jerry. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.